Alright, to make your zoomed in oil pastel flower, you will start by drawing the outlines of your petals. And this is the flower that I was looking at when I drew my outlines. As you can see, these are my outlines. Almost everything is going off the page. All my lines go off the page. You can't see the entire petal, and that's what we're looking for. We want to zoom way in on the flower. When thinking about what colors you want to use, it's important to think about the color wheel. We talked about how tints and shades can be made with not only white and black, but also colors next to each other on the color wheel. So you might use the color orange as the main color of your flower, and you could use both yellow to make tints of orange and red to make shades of orange, because they're all in the same color family, warm colors. It's the same with cool colors. If you started with blue on your flower, you could also use a light green as a tint and maybe a violet or a purple as a shade of your blue, because they are all cool colors. So when you are deciding on what colors you want to use for your flower, I would suggest practicing. So you would start by laying down the color that you think you want most of your flower to be, and then picking out a color that might be a good shade to add darkness. And I chose purple to go with my blue that I have here. So then you would overlap your purple and your blue to see what that would look like. And then I decided that I would stick with white as my tint with my blue. So I'm going to just overlap my white with it and see how these three colors look when I blend them all together. And you can practice with any colors that you choose. Here I have pink as my first color that I laid down, and I had red be my shade and white be my tint. So I blended them all together. This one I started with blue, and yellow was my tint, and green was my shade to have that gradual change in color. Here again I have pink with purple as my shade, and white again as my tint. And then here I have my warm colors with orange as my main color, and then I added yellow as a tint to lighten it, and red as a shade to make it darker. Now, when you start on your flower, once you have decided what colors to use, you will fill in all of the petals with your main color. Now I'm going to be adding tints to my orange using yellow. And I decided that I want to have my lightish tints to be out at the ends of my petals of my flower. And then my shades will be towards the middle of my flower. So I'm going to push really hard at the end of my petal and then start to push a little bit lighter as I blend in my yellow with my orange. Now, instead of using black for my shade, I'm going to use red, which is kind of the darkest of the three warm colors. My shades are starting towards the middle, so I'm gradually changing from red orange to yellow orange. So it's slowly changing, and I'll be blending colors. So in the middle, I'm pushing pretty hard with my red to blend that in with the orange, and then I'm starting to push lighter and just make some light lines that blend into my orange as it goes out. So my colors are just slowly changing from red orange, orange, and then yellow orange. Then I might go back in where my outlines of my petals were. I might take my orange, or you can decide on any color that you want to go and make kind of a darker outline and make it so you can really see the petals that you drew at the beginning. Then your last step might be just to add any details. Here I'm adding some details in the middle. I'm just using a lot of pressure with my white oil pastel. Some other details I added were some texture with my white oil pastel at the ends of my petals, and that's something that you could do. I also used a little bit of white over top of my red outlines. Just make sure you get everything outlined and looking really nice to finish off your oil pastel flower.